screen.
Mhm.
Check. Quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
I hear you loud and clear, Coach Jay. How we doing today?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I guess we're waiting for Broadcom. I had a good day. Wild one.
Yes, it was. Very wild day here in the markets. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But as you can see, we have the Broadcom charts up right now here on TradingView. You might be wondering why we're talking about Broadcom. They have their earnings coming out. Why is Broadcom important? It is the number 6 heaviest weighted company in the NASDAQ. Broadcom is 5.69% of the weight of the NASDAQ. So again, as some of these bigger companies go, with their earnings reports and how the stock trades, the basket of stocks that is the NASDAQ will go as well. Top 5 in the NASDAQ: NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, and then Broadcom. Heavier weighted than Meta, Google, Tesla, Palantir. So heard Jack call it the exponential 8 or hateful 8. That is why Broadcom quietly one of the heaviest weighted companies in the NASDAQ. Estimates right now for Q4, $1.87 a share. Revenue estimates $17.47 billion. Let's take a look at where Broadcom is trading right now. $407 trading right now, has an all-time high of a little bit above here that it made a couple days ago, it looks like. That high, $414.61. Again, as Broadcom goes, NASDAQ has the potential to go as well. 6th heaviest weighted company in the NASDAQ. Welcome, everybody, to At the Buzzer. This is your first time here. The goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. May talk about some markets that you have not traded before. We believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. We want to see how we can take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. If this is our first time meeting, I'm Coach Jay. I'm the Topstep performance coach since June of 2023, and that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep since April of 2023. I've been involved in the futures industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share some of my experiences, some knowledge, and hopefully help you become a better trader.
Awesome stuff. Thank you for that, Coach Paul. You are all our chat, our audience. Thank you for joining us each and every day that you do. We appreciate you all being here, even if it's your first time here. If it's your first time here, let us know. We are waiting for those Broadcom earnings. As soon as we get those numbers, we will bring them to you. Expecting them in a couple of minutes here. We're seeing the equities continue to push after the close. The S&P right now trading 69.14.5.
Keeps making new highs.
NASDAQ continue to push here as well, 25,743. Faye, this is not your first time here, but we appreciate you joining. We appreciate you joining, Faye. Seeing a little push here. Let me check the weighting of Broadcom in the S&P, if it is in the S&P at all. Broadcom is number 6 in the S&P as well, 3.09%.
Wow,
Bitcoin
I'm
is
just
rallying.
surprised by that.
Yeah, we were saying that in the green room. You're like, Broadcom earnings are that important? Who knew?
Someone
knew. We're seeing Bitcoin continuing to rally here. Broadcom numbers should be out in just about 3 minutes or so. While we wait for those, why don't we take a look at the here at the quote board for what was moving today. And as soon as we get those Broadcom numbers, we will bring them to you. All right, taking a look at the quote board, there are 36 different markets we could trade with Topstep accounts today. To the downside, we had heating oil down 1.47%, micro Ethereum futures down 3.4%, and natural gas down 8.12% for our biggest percentage mover to the downside. To the upside, we had copper up 2.45%, platinum up 4.06%, and silver, our biggest percentage mover to the upside, up 4.83%. The S&P up 0.33%, crude oil down 1.06%. We had gold up 1.86%. The NASDAQ down right now 0.21%. And watching this here, the S&P is pretty close to its all-time high. We've seen the Russell make all-time highs today. We saw the Dow make all-time highs today, silver as well. S&P is just over 0.5% off of its all-time high. Is Santa
Only a day
getting
away.
ready? Is Santa ready for the rally? We are again just over 0.5% off the all-time high in the S&P. In the NASDAQ, we still got a little bit of room to go, just about 2.5%, but that could be a day away in the NASDAQ as well. Broadcom earnings, again, why we're starting a little bit early, because Broadcom is earnings in just a couple minutes here. Number 6 weighted company in both the NASDAQ and the S&P. So as Broadcom goes, the equity markets have the potential to go as well. How did everyone trade today? We up on the day, down on the day? Let us know. If you follow your plan today, how did today go for everybody?
Equities was a pretty wild day, especially the NASDAQ. For me, NASDAQ was a completely different trade than Russell. It's a tale of two different indices.
Yep, completely different. Completely different. 15 seconds here before we are supposed to get this number. So I am going to switch back over to the Broadcom charts. We can watch the reaction and watch equity markets as well here. Whoa, big spike there in Broadcom. That is a new all-time high. And we rejected off of it, made a high there of $417. Seeing the NASDAQ pick up here as well, 25,783. Let's get those numbers as soon as I find them. Wow. Broadcom is just running here. Dre's trade would have been a banger if he could hold it, right? $421 there, new high in Broadcom. I don't see the numbers yet, but I'm assuming those are favorable numbers so far. Here we go. Broadcom earnings per share came in at $1.95. Estimates were $1.87. Revenues came in at $18.02 billion. Forecast was $17.47 billion. So a beat on both earnings per share and revenue estimates. Favorable reaction right there. Seeing Broadcom spike new all-time highs there, $422, and it is bringing the equity markets up with it. Again, why do we pay attention to the stocks in the NASDAQ and S&P? This is exactly why. Seeing that spike here, 25,825 last trade here, 830 last trade in the NASDAQ. Take a look at the S&P. Making that case for a potential all-time high soon, maybe even tomorrow. I know everyone was looking for maybe NVIDIA to save the markets or the Fed. Maybe it's Broadcom. 69.22 last trade here in the S&P. Under that 0.5% from the all-time high, and that is less than a day away if we see an average daily ATR range to the upside tomorrow. We will definitely see. Yeah, Andre saw something there, right? The sellers could not bring the markets lower. Had a really nice pop there. Costco also reporting its earnings. Estimated earnings per share came in at $4.50. Estimates were adjusted earnings per share came in at $4.50. Estimates were $4.28. Revenue came in at $67.31 billion. Estimates were $67.07 billion. So a beat there for Costco as well.
Doesn't Costco always make money?
I'm pretty, yeah. I think that is like a recession-proof business. They're always selling things.
It's so
always
nice.
selling things.
And now NASDAQ finishes higher.
Yes, it does. It was down 0.21% on the day before that earnings. Now positive 0.09% on the day. A little more on Broadcom here. Semiconductor solutions revenue, $11.07 billion. Estimate was $10.74 billion. Sees Q1 revenue about $19.1 billion. Estimates were $18.48. So Broadcom doing pretty well there. Again, the 6th heaviest weighted company in the NASDAQ and the S&P. So as Broadcom goes, as these components of the NASDAQ go, the equity markets will go as well. Broadcom up 2.9% on the day, again, making new all-time highs. We'll continue to watch that one tomorrow. So the one thing we do know, right, is that this is post-market, so the markets are closed, lower volume time. The question is whether or not this move sustains going into tomorrow. And if it does, we may be making a case for all-time highs in these equity markets. All right. Anything else you want to say on the earnings, Coach Paul? Should we get into the charts?
No, well, I think it speaks for itself. Just set it off and makes the NASDAQ look very, very healthy again.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So why don't we switch back over to TopStep X here, and we'll take a look. Actually, before we do that, let's get into the news. There was some new other news out today. Initial jobless claims came in a little bit higher than expected, 236,000. Forecast was 220,000. Continued jobless claims came in a little bit better than expected, 1.838 million. The forecast was 1.938 million. Wholesale inventories came in at 0.5%, 0.5%. Forecast was 0.1. That was about it. Tesla U.S. sales dropped to 4-year low in November. Not great news there for Tesla. Outside of that, you have anything on the news, Coach Paul?
No, I just saw that Tesla news, and it doesn't seem to matter. Broadcom is making money, but no other big news that's going to really affect the market, and it's doing what it's designed to do.
It is.
It's rallying.
It is rallying for sure.
Anything big news tomorrow?
I was just checking that actually. So no real big numbers tomorrow. We do have a couple of Fed speakers, but outside of that, no really big numbers. And really until when do we have inflation data come out? So we're getting non-farm. We got non-farm on the 16th. I think that is the November data. And then we have CPI on the 18th. So we got to wait a little bit for some of these bigger economic numbers to come out. We'll see. Maybe quiet markets rally into all-time highs before potential catalysts. Let's take a look at we went through the quote board already. Let's take a look. I got a NASDAQ chart up here on the daily. What are you seeing here, Coach Paul?
Nice little spike. It looked terrible when we were talking early this morning, but it did get down around the 50-day moving average. It went through its second level of support and held the support from last night. I found that very interesting. That it went down twice, held. To me, this market looks like it's got the green light to rally up. It looks very healthy. How about you?
Yeah, it looks extremely healthy. We pulled back into a level that we've talked about for a while. This October 10th candle, this was the tariff tantrum candle. Is this the last pullback that we get to this level for the year? I don't know, but significant pullback into it. We pulled back to there not just once today, twice. I'm going to go down to a shorter time frame chart. And for Manfred, what's up, Manfred? The new contract we should be rolling over next week. It doesn't expire until a little bit after that, but we should be rolling over probably mid next week. But that 25,388 level, the high of that October 10th candle, like you said, Coach Paul, it looked ugly. What are you seeing here on the 30-minute?
Well, basically, we had a big break last night.
Yeah, we did.
Look, and out of no big news, we talked. I mean, it wasn't. But it was sudden. We had urgency, and when we had a big price drop, only to come all the way back up to the 200. Do you got a piece of that trade last night?
Not the short. Dakota caught a piece of the short. Dakota caught a piece of the short. I did not catch it. We did have a J trade at the lows. I caught a piece of that, about 60 or so points. But Dakota caught a piece of the short. I don't know that we were really expecting it to be that aggressive. But then you look at the urgency that we got last night, and volume left that range relatively early, right? Within the third 30-minute candle. And I think that was your rule, right? If it doesn't happen within 3 candles, it's probably not going to happen. That third candle, we left aggressively as the volume's coming in for the Asia session, and just a really nice sell-off.
Yeah, as we would look, I hit my second level of support, and it doesn't do that often. I mean,
Yep.
that means it's an expansion, especially at night.
Right.
And wow, it hit a nice bounce. I think maybe it was preparation for today's trade,
Maybe it
uh,
was.
because but this morning we had almost the exact same thing,
Yep.
in a shorter term frame, the 3 minute. But how many times did we go down there? Once, twice, three times.
Yeah.
And you said that was the top of the
October 10th. So on the daily, if we go back out to this daily candle,
Mhm.
right? This was that tariff candle, right? And we've talked about this one a lot. We traded below it, we traded through it a while. And then to me, this whole week, and maybe I should have caught the short because I said I was looking for it. If I go back and review every appearance that I was on Top Step TV, I said I'm looking for a short in this market down to this level because I don't think we're done trading it. I caught the long, it's okay. Caught a piece keep a piece of the long from that level. But yeah, the high of that candle, now, the way buyers stepped up here twice in a day, Coach Paul. Of course, anything can happen. We still haven't broken out to the upside of this range. But this looks like, okay, maybe we are done trading these prices for now. Such a huge wick on that daily candle, a lot of rejection down there, buyers stepping up. Uh, maybe
Yeah,
now we have the room to run higher.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Yeah, yep. It's about that
Yeah,
time. 2
and
weeks.
he has Broadcom in his sack, and um, but yeah, definitely we're making new highs as we speak in the S&P.
Yes, we are.
This look just it's got the feel. I mean, and we'll go deeper. Let's look at what happened. We had a J trade. Remember, you and I we saw that earlier. We're like, wow, that's quite a J trade. I don't know if I can take that risk.
Yes, yeah, in the S&P and the NASDAQ. So I want to point out the first one. There was somebody during the Topstep TV show today that asked, "What volume patterns are you looking for a reversal?" If you're here, let me know. But this is one of them. Um, what we're looking for is high volume at the low or high of a move, and then a reversal. Now, how do we know it's the low? Because we had high volume all the way down. And if you were watching slow markets yesterday, you remember me saying this, right? That a J trade isn't a confirmed reversal until we close above the high, right? Sometimes high volume means continuation. So if we just go through, I'm on a 3-minute chart here. Let me use a 5-minute because that's what most people use. 5-minute chart here, right? If we look, we had high volume here. We never closed above it. That means continuation. We get another higher volume candle here. We never close above it. That means continuation. We get another higher volume candle here. Never close above. That means continuation. And then we start to see what looks like unsustainable volume for this time of night. Now, during the normal daytime session, 4,000 contracts in a 5-minute period is not even anything to look at. But in the overnight session where there's less liquidity and we're seeing these candles start to expand, the NASDAQ can't keep dropping 90 points every 5 minutes, right? Because we'll be at zero before the day is over if that was going to
That's
happen. Go ahead, Coach Paul.
you hit it on the head. Also, look at the average volume. And in these lows, we were trading 5 times, I think 6 times the average volume. Like you
Right.
said, 4,000 contracts at night it's a big deal.
Yep.
Um, and I'll hand it back to you since it is a J trade, but focus now. It's cascading lower. We
Mhm.
don't in that moment. We don't know what's driving it. Even if we did, we don't know when the selling is going to stop. So, but we know there's heavy volume making new lows. And then I'll hand it to you because the key is we don't know. We can have a level, and we had a level, 391 in the pivot, the second level of support. which was right there. But
Yep.
even that, there was panic selling.
Right.
So we'll frame it out and I'll give it back to you.
Awesome. So context matters, right, with everything. And in this case, what is the context that we had? So I'm going to go back out to the daily. I'm going to mark out again the high of that October 10th candle, just because that candle was so significant, right? Now, if I go back to the 5-minute chart, context matters, right? So we're getting high volume into an area that has the potential to be demand, right? Every time we've traded down here so far over the past couple of days, buyers have stepped up. So, and I saw you in the chat. Who was it? Switch a lane. How does this show up as a reversal pattern, right? And remember, we have to have a candle close above this range to confirm it as a reversal, because high volume can mean continuation, right? And it meant continuation all the way down for 300 points. So if I try to preempt this trade, there's potential for me to get caught up in a really aggressive trend, right? We don't get to see the markets like this. We get to see it like this. So the way we avoid getting caught in a false reversal is waiting for it to actually confirm the reversal. Now, you could try to preempt it, but hopefully you know where your risk is and it's not 300 points because we just sell off. But if we look at this candle here, this ends up being the highest volume candle of the day, right? To that point, it happens at a level that we've defined as a potential demand area. But even still, I'm not looking to buy it here. I was actually talking on after slow markets to Dakota, and I said it. This candle printed, I said, Dakota, that has the potential to be the low for the day. But I can't take this trade yet, right? I personally have to take this trade when it closes above, because then that confirms that buyers have stepped up at this level. So what that J trade is and what that reversal pattern is a candle close above this range. And we didn't get that on a 5-minute for about 40 minutes. But once we close above that high, it's a really nice rally. Stop would go on the other side of that range, right? It's 90 points on a 5-minute, which is a lot if you're trading minis, especially. But with micros, it's reasonable. But even before that, right? And the trade that I took was on a 3-minute. I just trade on a 3-minute chart. So I use a very similar candle, right? I'm using this one now. So a candle close above 44, right? Which is the high. This is now to me a confirmed reversal based on that high volume. We can see 2,600 contracts traded in that 3-minute period. What helps this as well, this is just an added confluence to it. If I attach VWAP and we look at this, and Coach Paul, I really like that you said this the other day. I'm looking at this high volume candle as an open, right?
Yeah.
This is now the start of the day. This is an event, the highest volume candle. And if this was an opening range breakout trade, what would be the trade here, right? This is just an opening range breakout long that held the rest of the day. This trade never got invalidated, even on this second spike. It was never invalidated. So somebody stepped up here and said, this market is not going any lower. And a really nice rally from that point. Now, people say all the time, right? And I saw somebody say this in the chat when I said, hey, come check out At the Buzzer and we'll tell you why this is a reversal pattern. Yeah, that's a reversal in hindsight. I'm going to ask a question here. For all of the analysis that we do, and this is for anybody, not just our strategy, anyone's strategy, does anyone do back testing or any type of analysis that's not hindsight? I don't even understand how that's a possibility. Right? But just like your favorite athlete practices a play, when this is setting up, you can say, hey, I've seen this before. And then I put risk behind something that has the potential to look like something I've seen before. Hindsight, it's a bad rap, but I think it's extremely necessary to have vision in the present. And this is how we've defined it. But again, how do I know this is the low, Coach Paul?
I don't.
Or how can I assume it's a low? Exactly.
Yeah. Two things here. That one of the things about the risk at 91 points.
Yep.
That, if we talk about it, if you don't, you got to predefine your risk for taking the trade. You don't have to take it. It's too expensive. The reward is 2 times that to me. I like that trade. We've seen this pattern before. And you're right, it is hindsight because you don't get to see the low. You know when you know the high is in or the low is in? After it's made.
When we're doing at the buzzer.
It's confirming. So there is no trade that's 100%. If someone's selling you that, run away from them. You have to take risks because you have what? Uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
In this, we've seen this pattern. It's selling exhaustion. On one of my last sit downs with Peter Stottlemyre, is like he told me, he goes, it's better to find the last seller or the last buyer.
Yep.
In this scenario here, it's the last seller. Now, I don't try to buy the low or sell the high. I used to. And as I said in the early aughts, I kept on selling the high in the S&P. Was really good at it. The only problem was kept on making new highs. But here in this example, we're not. It isn't. At that point, it's uncertainty. But is it worth taking risk? And we've done this before many times. I was not around at that time. I'll take that trade every time.
Yeah.
And guess what? I'm not going to win every time. But if it's 50-50 and I take 2-1, is that an edge?
Yeah.
That's an edge.
It is.
So
definitely is. And like Coach Paul said, there's a bunch of things here. We're talking about a setup, right? You might see this and think that 60 points of risk is too much. This is where now, if you're going to take this trade, you have to be in a place with mental capital to be able to execute the trade when it sets up. Because once it happens, it usually happens pretty quick, right? Relatively quick. We had 12 minutes before a candle close, and then you got to start making decisions about whether or not I'm going to take this trade and can I accept the risk that I actually have to take on it. And like you said, Coach Paul, if 60 points in this case on the 3-minute or 90 points on the 5-minute is too much, that is just a trade that I can't take right now. And that's a hard thing to do sometimes, but it's necessary, right? Even if it's a perfect setup, if you can't afford to take it, then you can't take it, because although what we've kind of defined here ends up being pretty good trade location, and the initial trade had about 60 points of risk. The real drawdown on the trade was probably about 20 points in the NASDAQ. Am I even comfortable sitting through the 20 points of drawdown? Right? And the only way I'm comfortable with that is if I've accepted that 70 points is really where my risk needs to go. So if I see 20 points of drawdown, I can't overreact, right? And that's where execution as a trader comes in. We could go over this setup a million times, but if you take it and you're over leveraged in it, can't trust it because it's going to cost you too much, right? So I saw somebody earlier say, they want to see traders with more mechanical setups on TopstepTV. This is a very mechanical one, but if it sets up and I take it with a 15 lot, guess what happens? My account is blown right here. And this is, I don't have the exact data for it, but when it plays out like this so perfectly, we're at this level, anecdotally, this is a 99% probability trade. I still can't take it with max leverage. I still can't take it with full size. I don't know how many times I've seen this and this specific perfect setup here, right? The high of that candle, really aggressive sell-off, way too much volume for an overnight session. I really had no doubts that this was going to be the low of the day. That doesn't mean anything. I can know exactly where the market's going to go. If I trade it incorrectly, it doesn't matter, right? So keep your your position size reasonable for every position that you take.
There's no more bad habit than over leveraging. I don't.
For sure.
It kills more traders than, to me, in my experience, anything else.
Yep.
I mean, you can't afford the swing, then you are gambling, because all you're thinking about is, I can make, if this works, I can make a lot of money.
This is the big one,
which is gambling. Plus, every great trader knows the number one rule is survival. Any business you're in, it's survival. The ones that blow up do what? Take on too much too fast.
Yep.
Same thing here. I mean, I've done it.
Same here. That's how we can talk about it so much.
I had no idea when I was younger. Yeah. Oh, I'll take 10. Oh, wait, it's going against me. I better buy 10 more. And then there goes 2 months worth of work in 10 minutes. No, you be consistent. Trade the size that fits your budget. Because, luck goes both ways.
Yep. Yes, it does.
So, greed, says Monica. Yeah. And by the way, we're humans. Who hasn't done that before?
Right.
No. But if you're going to trade and you want to get funded, which I assume everybody here wants to get funded at one time, that you have to prove that you can handle the money.
Yeah.
And the core of that is position size.
100%. And Manfred in the chat says, Coach Paul, this is easier said than done. 100%. That's what makes this so difficult. The technical part of trading, and I don't want to discourage anybody that is new to this, you probably know enough. Probably, honestly, if you've been doing this for 6 months to a year, there's probably not much more you need to learn about technicals in order to place a winning trade. Most of the rest of your trading journey is about managing yourself and being the person that it takes to actually see these trades play out. There are a million different setups. This is just one, and we cover it all the time because I love this trade, and we found something that catches a pretty damn big piece of the move. But if I'm not in a space to take it, 100%, Manfred, it is hard. It is hard to do.
Oh, because that is the part. That's why the failure rate's so high.
Yep.
It really is. You could. That's where the greed comes in, or not being disciplined. This company, I'll just go in a store. This company is called Topstep.
Coach Paul, real quick, I'm gonna step out for just a second. I just got to take a phone call real quick, but keep going.
It's called Topstep, and it came from the pits, the biggest traders. When I say biggest, they had to take size because they stood next to the big paper fillers, brokers, paper fillers who filled orders for the public. Now, to get to the top step, you couldn't just say there and stand there and go, I'm willing to take 100 lots. You had to, first of all, you had to have the bank account. No one's going to trade with you if they have any kind of feeling that you don't have the bank account, because you're going to blow up. So you had to earn that spot on the top step. That means you had to be up 100 up. And or they wouldn't trade with you. So you had to earn that spot. You had to earn your size. if someone comes into the trading pit and starts trading size, like older traders would love that. And they were like race them. It happens. So even in any business, if you take too much size too early, you're over leveraged. By the way, this is a business. So also, if you, and this is what the combine's about, anyone can, with luck, can make $15,000 in one day. But can you make $1,000 a day for 15 days? That's not luck. That's a skill. So, well, before I keep going off of it, yeah, know your size. You can't. Here's another thing. One time you're trading 5, the next time you're trading 1, the next time you're trading 2. Is that consistent?
Nope.
So it's something to work on if you haven't.
Good
Yeah.
stuff here. Great conversation. Great conversation. See what the markets do. Make us think. S&P, I'm just pulling this up real
Pax
quick.
did go bankrupt, and he had $15 million. Yeah. Great conversation.
Similar trade here in the S&P. This is why I like the S&P compared to the NASDAQ. NASDAQ's great, but look at the S&P, right? NASDAQ kind of ran through this J-trade candle. The S&P said, oh, I'm stopping right there. And really nice rally from there, 1.25% move from that point. Just real quick, Russell, all-time highs, 25.9660, new all-time high in the Russell. I would be watching this market tomorrow at this 2600 level. Big fat round number, 2600 whole number level. I just want to see what the market's response is if and when we trade up there. Probably should just say when. It's 4 points away. Got to assume that the market's going to try to test it. Is there enough buying in this market to continue trading higher? We saw this breakout pattern that we had here. Nice trade in the Russell today, Coach Paul.
Yeah. It just doesn't have the drama that NASDAQ has.
Right.
It really is. Like we've talked about it many times. It's 2,000 stocks. It's not going to get manipulated as easily.
Yep. Same thing here. This is the 30-minute candle holding that, whatever that volume was high. Courtney has a good question here. I want to throw this one to you, Coach Paul. Do you think that volume, that puke at 10 p.m. Eastern time last night that we're framing out had anything to do with rollover?
No, I don't. No, you wouldn't get that kind of move because in rollover, you're selling 1 month and buying the other. So this was directional. There was something, I don't know why, but I do know this, and I'm not being coy here. This is because it breaks it down. There was more sellers than buyers until we had that volume puke. And I'm not being, that's what I look for. I don't know, because then we talked, Coach Jay and I talked like, do you hear any news? Nope. But no, I don't think it was because of because you remember there's a balance to the rollover for its position. So for those who are going to roll over and they want to keep their position in December, they have to say they're long. They sell December by March. And the bigger ones will do it. They'll hit the spread. There's a spread market, and we don't trade spreads, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But for every seller in a spread, there's a buyer. So that shouldn't give a balance, an imbalance in the market.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We got a couple questions here. I'll answer the easy one. Coaches, do you hate scalpers? No. I don't hate anyone who's able to consistently pull money out of the markets, or even if they don't. I don't hate anything. Hate's a strong word there. Can I teach somebody how to scalp? No, I can't. It doesn't work for me. But no, if it makes money, it makes sense. JJ has a question here. The last 2 days on the NASDAQ above average volume. and can't close above previous November 12th high. Bearish divergence on the RSI daily from November 12th as well. Your thoughts? Let's take a look at the NASDAQ here. So yesterday's volume I have as below average, and then today's I have as pretty much right on the average. Am I seeing a divergence here? Not really, because there's just not a ton of directional volume. What I see right now is just not a ton of directional volume, right? Pretty much since the month started. Here's the range for the month, and if you look at VWAP, it's a flat line, somewhat tilting to the upside, right, above the 50% of the range. If volume was decreasing as this market was trying to push up, then I would be a little bit more concerned, right? Something like this, right? Even though this was a holiday week. But no, I don't see, personally, I don't see anything off about this volume pattern here. It looks like rollover. Could that be a hidden sign of distribution? It could be. It could be.
It's also December.
Right.
It's the end of the year. There's some. Well, where did I see that a couple days ago? There's large money on the sidelines.
Mm.
I went, pardon me? We're at or near all-time
Right below
highs,
the
and there's a
all-time highs?
large
What are they
amount of
waiting
money
for?
sitting on the sidelines. I don't think that large money is going to come running in at the end of December. It just wouldn't make sense. Especially if you're protecting, if you got to get paid on a bonus. But wow, we're making new highs as we speak.
Yes, we are continuing to push here. I'm going to get to one more question from M. Petrellis saying, are you saying there's something wrong with the size you trade based on setup and price action? In other words, sometimes I trade 5 micros, but sometimes only 3. I don't think there's an issue with that. If you have, certain allocation you want to give to a specific trade setup, right? Let's say you're taking a counter trend trade and you want to take it with smaller size. And then on every counter trend trade, you're taking it with that same size, great. If you identify a trade like that J trade setup and you say, hey, that gets 5 contracts, and then every time you take that trade, it gets 5 contracts, then great. I think the issue is when I identify that setup, and sometimes I take it with 5 contracts, and then another time I take it with 20 micros, and then another time I take it with 6 micros, and then another time I take it with 2 micros. There's a lot of variance there. But if you want to allocate, and Coach Paul, you are the pro at this, units of measure, right? How many units of risk does each trade get? What would you say to that?
If it's 5-3 and you have consistency on that risk, depending on, well, first of all, it could be depending on the ATR. That's where we go into units of risk. If I put it, let's just simple. If I have $10,000 in my account and I want to hold on to the value of my balance, I'm going to say that is 12%. I'm not losing more than 1,200. I'm done for the day. So now I have a budget, and depending on the volatility, it'll change my size. If it's low volatility, I can do bigger size. If it's high volatility, I do less size. And that's a pattern. For you, if it's a pattern. What I'm saying is sometimes, and will happen when you first start trading, you do, okay, I'll give you, here's a story. I was in the soybeans. It was dead. It was completely dead. I just started learning charting. There was a monthly chart, and we settled over the downtrend line, and I'm like, this thing's going to the moon. By the way, it never went lower. I ran over to the bond pit to go buy it, and I had no discipline about my size. Someone gave me an edge of the paper to take 10 lots, and I ended up short. I came in there to buy it. And a 10 lot, I came in there to buy 2. And he gave me a nice edge. It was like, by the time I wrote it down on my trading card, I was down 5 ticks. That was that quick. And I froze, and then I got spun around, and then I'm short. And now I do the classic. I sell more to get an average. None of this was I shouldn't have taken a 10 lot. I did it because, oh, there's an edge. I added even more size. I'll give you this. I blew up my account that day. Instead of being long 2 bonds and taking in, I overtraded. I chased a loss. I took a size that I had no business taking. So that's what I mean. That's why you can't. That's gambling, and it's one of the and it's a common mistake for new traders because we want to make money quick. We don't, I understand the feeling, but that's one of the things you have to learn.
100%. 100%. All right, let's talk the metals really quick here. I don't know if you guys saw me while Coach Paul was going through that. I was pulling up this gold chart. And my eyes got big here because we done something that we were looking for the market to do for a little bit. We are, unless something crazy happens in the next 5 minutes, closing above this 50% level for the first time since this candle printed. Why is that significant? Going back to April. Rejection, 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 rejection at 50%, rejection at 50%, and then we close above, and that starts the rally. This looks similar. It's not the same. And it took a lot less time this time to close above, right? There were 93 trading days before we got to close above that 50%. In this case, it was 36 trading days, so about a third of the time. But we actually talked about this before. We've gotten these 50% tests quicker than we did the last time, right? This is almost a month in between these tests. We're here. It's a couple weeks. With silver making new all-time highs, are we seeing the next leg up in gold here? This candle close above this 50% is a great first step towards that new all-time high. Now, the question is, does this hold, right? This was such a major level for me. 4,300 is right there as well. 4,282 is that 50%. I wouldn't be surprised at a little bit of a retest of this to just to check and make sure, hey, are we still good? You guys sure you don't want to sell it any lower? But now I'm looking at the upper extreme of this candle, 44.32 half, which is right below that all-time high. That is just under 3% off the all-time high. And with the way we see all the other metals moving right now, copper up 2.5% today, platinum up 4%, silver up 4.75%, and gold up 2%, it is not out of the question to see all-time highs by tomorrow. Doesn't have to happen, but it's not out of the question. Anything you're seeing on this gold daily, Coach Paul?
Well, I'll just repeat what you said. We got over 20 to 50, and we're over the 50% of that candle where we closed. After being lower last night too, they came in hard. That looks friendly, especially being over that. This is the highest close since we made the all-time high.
Yep.
That means something. And it came after it today. It wasn't.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, what's that white line?
So that is the 200 moving average on the 30-minute chart here. And we were talking a little bit earlier this week about, the trend slowing down, gold being range bound, trading on both sides of that 200 moving average. If we look at some of these days, I'm going to take off the 20 and the 50. And let's do this. Dan Emmons says the best way to find out the low of the day is when your account gets liquidated and then it turns around right at your stop. That's happened a couple times before.
Yeah, you can laugh if you've been there.
Right. But looking at, get out of here. Oh, it's this one. Let's see. Looking at VWAP in relation to this 200 moving average, right? We had price trade on both sides of it. VWAP pretty much flat with that 200 moving average. Price below it. VWAP below it. Price on both sides. Yesterday we had price above it. A lot of indecision here. But then today, have the market opening up above that 200 moving average. Volume never even tried to cross it, and price barely did. He held as a support on this 200. This is a little bit of a change here from what we've seen over the week, and just a really nice rally up. What are you seeing on this 30-minute, Coach Paul?
Well, here I saw off that last that 200. I don't what time. Let me see on my chart. What time was it? It was
The first
7
test?
o'clock. 7 o'clock this morning. 8 o'clock Eastern.
Let's see.
Yeah, right. That selling
right
candle
here. Right here. Yeah.
Heavy volume, lows of the day. I don't know. That's the low of the day. And what? Once again, it closes above that high, and that was the high volume of the day. That was heavy selling.
In the same spot, we saw high volume in the overnight, and
yeah, same levels.
Same level.
Now, we close above that. And what is your risk? And by the way, if you're going to trade gold and you're trading micro, it's like $250 realistic risk at any moment.
Yep.
That's what now I wasn't looking at gold. I saw that about 9 o'clock. I'm like, oh, should I buy? Could I buy it? And then I measured it. Well, if it's going to, at this point, I have to new lows. I measured it was like $300. I'm like on a micro, and I'm like, it's not the risk I want to take. But that is, looking back at it, that's the risk. You're 1 micro in gold. It's very reasonable. $30. What was it up today? $75?
Yeah, something like that. 2%. What is that value? $84. 84 and a half. Up 84 and a half.
Yeah.
Really nice rally there.
A nice range on the micro. It's $840. But you see how quick when it decides to go, don't get in its way. Now, last night we had a pretty good break. Oh, yeah. Wow.
I wanted to get to the opening range trade this morning.
All right.
Poll the chat. Which opening range are we taking? This is that's a good one right there. That is you don't see those like that often, but that is an urgency opening range trade. What does that mean? Said a bunch of words. Volume and price very urgently left this opening range. Now, we don't get to see it like this. We get to see it as it's developing. So one of the things we did, because, what has gold been doing over the past 2 weeks? It's been in a range. So can I want this to trade higher? I can, but I still have to manage the trade as it makes sense here, right? So we took this opening range trade. We got in long on a candle close above the high of the opening range. JD actually got a better price. Got in long from 39. 30, close enough. Risk goes on the other side of the opening range, right? So about 5 points. And took profits near 2-to-1 off of VWAP because I heard Coach Paul say a bunch of times, 2-to-1 is great for a day trade. Risk 5 points to make 10 right here. That's a decent trade. Now, we took one of the positions off because the way that JD and Hogue like to take the opening range trade is you let it work, especially if it's going to work for the rest of the day. And on days like today, that's exactly why. We got volume to leave that range aggressively, was supportive the entire time. And at the high, this was almost a 15-to-1 trade. Can you catch this whole move? That depends on you as a trader. How long did it take me to measure this, Coach Paul?
Not too long.
20 seconds?
Now, and once again, we look at that. For me, day trading 2-to-1, 3-to-1 are reasonable trades. It's something it's much like a scalper. And but to me, I don't like to trade a lot. I want to make money. I don't trading. Then someone said, "Is scalping is good if you can, you know." And what is scalping?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we can consider a day trader as a scalper, but it's in one thing we can agree is a scalper trades a lot, but you it's also called the young man's game. Can you continue to do that over time? A lot of times it catches up to you, those quick moves, quick decisions. And it's kind of like a professional a sports star. All of a sudden, it starts slowing down. You know, you're not
Yeah.
making that decision, and it's there's other ways to do it. But 15 to 1. When would we had a 15 to 1?
Not very
Remember,
often.
you're there to make money. If by the way, I don't. I have not. If that's what you want to go for, is 15 to 1. Here's what you're going to have. You're going to have about a 85% loss rate, and that's okay.
Yep.
But then you have to have returns of 15 to 1, 12 to 1. But if that's what you're measuring for, and you've done the study, the back test, it's almost inhuman. I've tried it. It's, you got to take you got to take a lot of losses.
Yeah. And be okay with not even a loss. You got to be okay with an unrealized drawdown, right?
Yeah.
People ask all the time. It's like, oh, how do these traders make $20,000 in a day? How do they make $40,000 in a day? I've said this before, but the person who makes 40, let's take a look, because there was somebody made 30 grand today in the NASDAQ. Let's say they got long at this low, and with their position size, in order for them to make 30 grand, they had to get out here. This right here, let's say they got the perfect trade location, they had to be okay with $8,000 drawdown intra trade, maybe a $5,000 drawdown. That's tough to do. So like you said, coach, those 10 to 1s, those 15 to 1s, they happen. But
Well, we were talking last week about that guy who puts on one and he puts his stop how far away? 200, 300 points away in the NASDAQ?
Yeah.
That's part,
Right.
And that has merit. I don't.
Yeah.
But can you do that? Can you go through that much heat? And another thing, can you afford to go through that much heat? Because you have to measure. If it's not measured risk, it's gambling.
Yep.
You ask, and go study all the great traders. They didn't just step into size; they worked their way up because they had to measure their risk. As you get bigger and you grow your account, guess what? What happens? You do more size.
Yep.
I mean, but wow, that gold trade. I look at that too. I want to grab that every day. But you know what? It's not available every day. And if that's what you want to play for, you have to be very disciplined and you have to take a lot of losses and watch good money turn into bad. It's very hard to do.
Absolutely.
Great discussion.
Real quick, just want to take a look at silver. We don't need to belabor this point. It made a new all-time high, continuing to grind up, pulling everything else, all the other metals up with it. Let's take a look. And I'd look at these levels right here. These two 30-minute candles, high volume. Anything you want to say on silver, Coach Wall? Oh, where'd you go? Are you back? You disappeared for a
Yeah, I'm
second.
back. Where'd you go?
I don't know. You sound like a robot.
Am I sounding like a robot?
Is that just me? Yeah, you just teleported. Give me an audio test, Coach Paul.
Check, check, check. Do I sound like a robot? Yeah, I was lost in space.
I don't know. Just me? Oh, no. Think they got us, chat. We're here. I'm still here, right? You guys can still see me? All right, we're good. Before they there we go. Paul's back.
No, I think for now. So if we lose again,
Coach Paul, I think white van outside of my window. They're gonna come and get us if we keep giving away all these amazing secrets. So, chat, if you can do us a favor, if you enjoy what we've done here so far, hit the thumbs up button. Tell your friends and family to like and subscribe. We appreciate you all being here, Coach Paul. Anything you want to say before we go?
Before we get closed down, one of the key things too, and I just repeat it, is plan your trade your plan, be consistent, and be prepared. Tomorrow's Friday.
Tomorrow is Friday. One more day to end the week. Super Drac, that's hilarious. He said Coach Paul's time traveling back to the opening range trading gold. Man, if I had a superpower.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Right.
At least I don't.
If I had a superpower. We'll talk about some more markets tomorrow. We will be here every day, 3:15 Central Time, 4:15 Eastern. If you're a new viewer, we appreciate you being here. You are a repeat viewer, and this is not your first time. Of course, you know we love you. We could not do these shows without you guys. Coach Hoop, thank you for helping us moderate this thing. Coach Paul, great session as always. We got Coach Hoop doing a class in Discord, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. After him, Coach Ray, 7 p.m., and Coach Vince, 8 p.m. Coach Dakota with slow markets tonight at 8:30. Baron is going to be joining him tomorrow with the London Open. We have Aaron at 2:30 Eastern. No Euro trade with Deanna tomorrow because tomorrow is Friday. We don't talk to you. Oh, Switcher Lane had a question. Let me answer this question. Switcher Lane had a question. Let's get to this one. I did say I was going to answer this. Coaches, can you give me a strategy to use? I trade the NASDAQ and the S&P. Please help. I'm a beginner. Now, we have to be very careful in the position that we're in. We cannot give you any type of investment or trading advice, right? I can't say, hey, buy it here, sell it here. If you want a simple strategy to use, and I cannot guarantee because unfortunately, I don't get to control the market conditions. I wish I could tell you, hey, here's a strategy and it's going to work 80%, 90%, 100% of the time, and you're just going to be this amazing trader. If you're asking for advice, the first thing I'm going to say personally is, and you said you trade the S&P and the NASDAQ, my advice is going to be don't open up a NASDAQ chart again. Here we go, right? Don't open another NASDAQ chart if you're a beginner. If you're going to trade the S&P, make it the micro S&P. And right now, you're only going to trade from now until the end of the year, you're only going to trade one micro S&P. I don't know how you've been looking at the markets, so I kind of hesitate to give a strategy, especially over a YouTube stream. But if you want a simple trade to take, and you want consistency in a strategy. Again, this is not a guarantee that this trade is going to work out. This is not financial advice. Look at an opening range trade and wait for a candle close outside of that range. Do it in a practice account, right? Don't even do it in a combine. Don't do it in an XFA because there's no guarantee that these results are going to play out. But what I want you to learn as a beginner over time is executing the same thing every day. So what you're going to look for is an opening range. I don't care what time frame you use. You can use a 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute chart, 15 minute. And you're going to take a trade in the direction of the first candle break outside of that. Do it in a practice account only, not even in the combine. All right, practice account only. 1 micro for the rest of the year. That is not financial advice. Again, please do that only in a practice account. And what I want you to learn is consistency over time, not guaranteeing results. An opening range trade and take it from there. And again, you do not get to trade any size other than a 1 micro.
Not for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. See if you can do that. Because one of the things is to be consistent. I like that. To do the opening range trade and see if you can consistently follow the rules.
Yeah. Switcher Lane says I'm up 600 in the NASDAQ though. So I'm going to go back to your first comment. Can you please give me a strategy? Please help. I'm a beginner. Making 600. Okay, so I wish we had more time to talk. We really can't do one-on-ones, but what is the strategy that got you to $600? Can you repeat that? Right? You're up $600 in the NASDAQ. Great. Can you repeatedly make the same decisions that you made to get to those $600 in the NASDAQ? If you can, you don't need me for anything. You don't need me to tell you a strategy. Right? So do whatever that strategy was, do that consistently over the next month. Right? That would be my advice. Strategy is opening range. I get on 830, kind of what you said. There you go. There you go. Do that repeatedly. And you ask, can I give you a strategy? The problem is, if I give you a strategy, it's going to lose, guaranteed. That's the only thing I can guarantee you, that if I give you a strategy, it is guaranteed to lose. Your response to those losses tell me and you more than anything can about how sustainable trading is going to be for you. If you take a loss and you start to over leverage, it has nothing to do with the strategy, because every single one of them is going to lose. Coach Paul, anything else you want to add to that?
You got it. There's nothing that really add. That keep it simple. That's what I would say. Keep it simple.
Yep.
See if you can follow rules steady. In those rules, take reasonable losses, starting with the opening range trade. All right.
There we have it. All right. Awesome stuff. Great session as always. Chat, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. Coach Paul, great stuff as always.
Cheers.
It's my favorite segment to watch on YouTube. Favorite segment to watch. We appreciate you being here. See you all tomorrow.